Good morning, everybody. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning, everybody. What is going on, everybody? Thank you very much for being here. Monday, May 5th, just past 8 a.m. 8:01. I was about a minute behind today. Minute behind. Thank you for being here. Appreciate it. Hope you guys had a nice weekend. Got a lot of stuff to get into. It's gonna be a little bit different now. Now we're kind of adjusting a lot of the content. Still obviously going to be very, very heavy NBA focused here, but we'll hit on a number of different things. So I appreciate you guys hanging out. Cheers to you, whatever you're drinking this morning. What are you guys drinking this morning? What are people drinking this morning? I already had my cup of coffee. I'm a coffee tea guy now. I do a cup of coffee and then I go straight to tea. I think I got kind of a little addicted to some of that tea here. So now I'm just kind of throwing tea into the mix here. Whatever it is you guys are drinking here this morning, I hope you guys are enjoying it. We're chilling today. So we'll kind of take our time on the show. However long we go. We'll see how much the content carries everything and how much you guys add to some of that content. Busy weekend this weekend in sports. Unfortunately for the Lakers, nothing. That's it. They're done. But that doesn't mean there isn't a lot of good sports on, because there actually is some really, really good games over these last couple of days. Second round of the playoffs going to start. All that stuff's going to get started. Quote of the day, if I could be completely honest with everybody, I got a kind of a sheet here that I've been saving all these quotes, knowing that I'm going to use them at some point. I have not got a chance. Let me see. I had one here that I was going to use. Diligence is the mother of good luck. Diligence is the mother of good luck. We'll use that one today. Diligence is the mother of good luck. If you guys got a quote you guys want to throw into the mix, feel free to throw it in. I got a number of things that I want to get into. You guys kind of know my thoughts here, or at least I don't know what you want to call it. What am I, addicted to the NBA? I might be addicted to the NBA. I find myself listening to NBA Sirius XM all the time as well. I find myself just, however I'm kind of planning things, I'm getting a lot of NBA in. Let me give everyone a quick rundown what we got for the show today, and then we'll keep things rolling. I want top Braun. I was going to do this over the weekend, and then I just kind of decided, like, why am I going to do all this over the weekend? Why not just wait till Monday? I got a few topics I want to get into with LeBron. I was at a dinner on Saturday, and LeBron came up, and if you guys just saw the reactions of everybody at the table, it's pretty actually kind of funny how everyone's got an opinion on LeBron. I'm going to throw this question out there to people. You guys still enjoy watching LeBron play? Because all this chatter and conversation, what's he going to do? Is he this? Is it that? Whatever the case is. I kind of have a theory here on LeBron. And I have a theory here of LeBron with the Lakers that we'll get into. Something happened during the season where I think I'm still enjoying watching LeBron, and there's a specific reason why. So we'll talk a little bit about that, talk a little bit about LeBron's future. There's some stuff that came out on Friday right after the show ended. I think the moment that I turned off the show, all these topics started coming in. LeBron MCL injury. Austin Reeves had some type of injury. Would LeBron actually leave the Lakers? LeBron unconvincing Luka. So I got a few things that I want to get into in regards to that. Warriors win Game 7 on the road yesterday. The Warriors kind of remind me a little bit of, and I'm not even talking about this team, I'm just talking about the franchise over these last 10, 12 years. They remind me a little bit of what the Lakers used to be. Warriors handle business, the experience over the youth. So they win Game 7. We'll talk a little bit about that. Clippers. I watched part of the game, but I listened to most of the game. Clippers and the Denver Nuggets. So Clippers are out. I got one thing on Kawhi Leonard. Why didn't Kawhi just sign with the Lakers? Couldn't he just made his life a lot easier just by signing with the Lakers? James Harden, another really, really poor performance in Game 7. Not really a complete shock there or anything along those lines. So we'll get a little bit into that. Second round predictions. That's it. I got my predictions. That's it. When Sliwa throws in his predictions, that's it. Take it straight to Vegas. You got nothing to worry about. Go straight to Vegas and take your second round predictions. I'm already wrong in one, which shows you my honesty, because I'm going to stick with whatever I had before. So we'll end up doing that, and then we'll do the weekend recap, and we will call it a day. All right, let me look at a couple of the comments here, and then we'll go from there. All right, let me look at a couple of the comments. You're never going to know your limits unless you push them. I was watching, I don't know if you guys are a fan. This guy's a freaking beast. You guys know David Goggins. You guys probably know Goggins. I don't know, if you've been on social media over the last couple of years, Goggins has just completely blown up. This guy had a quote, said something like, basically, when your body is done, that's when your mind starts. And this guy's a complete beast. I don't know if you guys know anything about David Goggins, but the dude was in the Navy SEALs. Now he's got his own brand, and a lot of it is just built on just being a mother effer. The guy's incredible. He's crazy. But anyways, yeah, he had a quote. He said something like, when your body is done, that's when your mind starts. I'm like, my God, this guy's in a different world. Life is meaningless, but worth living, provided you recognize it's meaningless. But worth living, provided you recognize. Okay, I like that. Good morning to a lot of people here. Drinking water over there. Okay, get your water in. Do what you got to do there. All right, let's get the show started. All right, let's get things started here. If you want a shot of motivation, listen to Goggins. Yeah, what was his? I had his audio book. What was his audio book? Trying to think of it off the top of my head. I forget the audio book. Anyways, I'll find it. I'll find it here before we're all. I might as well type it in right now. Yeah, but the dude is just Can't Hurt Me. Yeah, that's the one I have. He's got a few books, but Can't Hurt Me is one of them. That dude is just freaking next level. All right, let's get started here. Appreciate you guys hanging out, by the way. Thank you for being here. But by the way, just give kind of everyone a quick idea. So obviously now we're in the off season, and as far as the channel goes and the show goes, I'm going. I mean, I'm going to still be here Monday through Friday. That's my plan. Will I take some time off here and there? Sure, I will. But I'm definitely over these next couple of months, it's actually going to be pretty busy. If you take NBA playoffs, take NBA finals, take NBA draft, take NBA free agency, take summer league. I mean, there's still a lot of things that are going to go on. Maybe I kind of adjust some things August and September, kind of see where I go from there. Any big topics that are going on, I'm obviously going to hit on as well. But the kind of heavy presence of the NBA, Lakers basketball, all that stuff, that's going to still exist on here. That's kind of the vision of the channel to begin with. That's what I'm most passionate about. That's where I feel like most of the listeners are from anyways. So that's going to kind of be a part of the blueprint. I do have some stuff, I think, in the next 30 days or so that I think, I'll be able to share with everybody. I still got to clear up some stuff, but once I'm able to do so, I think I'll have some good growth of some things that I have in mind for the channel. So something to keep in mind. If you're here today, that means you're just freaking rocking with the channel, and I appreciate you doing so. And I greatly appreciate that. All right, so I'm going to ask the question here real quick, and now you guys can start putting a few of these topics in. You're still enjoying watching LeBron play, because I think there are a lot of people that have, they're obviously their own opinion on this. LeBron is a very polarizing individual. And I've said this before. And by the way, I think the dinner thing was pretty funny. There's, and when I tell you the people who were at this dinner, it was a very, very random group. And most of these people are not sports fans. But LeBron had came up in some conversation in some shape, way, or form, and everybody had an opinion. It's like, my God, this guy, you want to talk about a topic, or engaging in the topic, or getting people interested in a topic. It was LeBron. Literally every single person that was there at this dinner They're not big sports fans. These are not even, my own personal friends. It was a dinner that my girl had for work or whatever the case is. So anyway, so long story short, LeBron's name comes up and everybody's got an opinion on it. I just started laughing. I'm like, my God, everywhere I go, it's like there's some kind of a opinion on Bron. I asked the question, are you still enjoying LeBron play? Because I will tell you this. I will tell you that for a long time, a lot of people that I had connected with would say, man, I'm exhausted of LeBron. I've been watching LeBron for 20 years, 20 plus years. I've had enough. Or maybe they care too much about the politics side of things. And they say, oh, I don't like that he said this, or I don't like that he did this, or whatever the case is, whatever the reasons people have. I try to keep it more from a basketball perspective because, you start walking out of those basketball lines, everybody's got an opinion. And frankly, politics is not going to be something that, I'm typically bringing on the show or something along those lines, unless I had like a really, really passionate take about something. But for the most part, I wouldn't be kind of crossing paths in that world. So with that in mind, what's funny about Bron, and there's a few different things that came out over the weekend that I want to get into. My stance on LeBron, before the trade for Luka, there was definitely some exhaustion of same player. Watching LeBron and Anthony Davis, I think there was just kind of tired of that as well because you felt like you already knew what the result was going to be and nothing really seemed fresh. Nothing really seemed new. You just kind of knew what the end result was going to be. And then as that trade happened between the Dallas Mavericks and the Lakers, and Luka comes to the Lakers, and now all of a sudden you got to see kind of LeBron in a little bit different of a role. He didn't have to have the ball in his hands the entire time. You're not really sure what the result is going to be. You kind of start envisioning in your head, well, what can it look like? Okay, what if they actually go out and they build a roster with these two players? What can that look like? I think there was a little bit of a resurgence, I guess you can call it, from a Bron perspective, a little bit of a resurgence from what it could look like, a little bit of a resurgence of, all right, well, you know what? These two, I don't have an idea what these two are together. What can that potentially look like in the future? So I just bring all that up and I just say it because I think, if there are some reports out there, I read this over the weekend, which I don't believe any of this. I genuinely don't. And it's not that I don't believe the reporters that are reporting on it, because some of these reporters that I know, but it's more just the fact that I just don't think LeBron's going anywhere. And I also don't think that LeBron, as far as the future goes, is, going to retire or anything along those lines. Here's one of the reports I saw this weekend. NBA Central had put this out there, but this came from The Athletic. Per close, I think it was Sam Amick and Jovan that had done the article together. LeBron James not ruling out the possibility of finishing his career elsewhere. So might James think about finishing his career elsewhere in pursuit of a fifth ring? When posed that question, both league sources close to James and team sources would not rule out that possibility. And that was before the revealing elimination game, talking about before Lakers were eliminated from the Minnesota Timberwolves. I think you just got to get comfortable if you're a Laker fan, which, by the way, is not a bad thing. I mean, LeBron was – people could say whatever they want about LeBron, and they could I'm sure there's comments right now of people saying, yeah, you know what, I am sick of LeBron, or, watching him play, he didn't do this, he didn't do enough of that, commits too many turnovers at the end of games, whatever the case is. I think you should get comfortable with watching LeBron as a Laker for the minimum, at least one more year. And maybe even 2 more years. Now, would LeBron really get into his 24th season, maybe a 25th season? That sounds absurd, but it's also not out of the realm. I mean, the man's going to make $50+ million just to be a Laker. We know everything that comes with it. The guy's still putting up incredible numbers. If you wanted to say, this year, was LeBron a top 10 player in the NBA? He was. He was still a top 10 player in the NBA. But do I think LeBron's going to go anywhere? No, I don't. Do I think LeBron's going to retire? No, I don't. And frankly, I think there's a little bit of a resurgence here, at least from my own perspective of watching LeBron. The fact that he's paired up with Luka now, and the fact that those two get a chance to kind of figure out, obviously the front office got a lot to figure out this offseason. The fact that those two players, I don't mind watching LeBron again. There was, I think a time that at least in these last, let's call it year and a half or so, it's like I already know the script. I already know what's going to happen. LeBron always has the ball in his hands. Luka offered this resurgence for me that it's like, no, you know what? I can enjoy this product again. I can watch this product because I don't know what the end result's going to be. I thought, if you'd have told me 2 weeks ago Lakers would be out by May 1st, I'd be like, they're not going to be out by May 1st. They're not going to be out in 5 games against the Minnesota Timberwolves. What are you talking about? I actually thought the Lakers were going to win the series. I thought the Lakers would win the series in 6. Well, that didn't happen. So clearly, whatever my expectation was, and I think most expectations out there, nobody knew that the Lakers would be out. A lot of times the reason why you're okay with something is because maybe you're not 100% sure what the end result's going to look like. I had a stage for me where watching LeBron was, all right, yep, I've seen this script before. I've seen what it looks like. I know what the end result's going to be. And I think getting Luka has completely changed that. And I thought LeBron's game since Luka came aboard also changed. I thought it was more enjoyable. I thought, listen, are there areas of his game? And I know people are going to, yeah, but Al doesn't play enough defense, or he doesn't this, or he doesn't do that. Okay, you're not wrong. They got to build a team around LeBron and Luka with Luka first in mind. And then, obviously LeBron kind of comes after that. They got to build the proper team around these two players with Luka as that's the number one focal point. That's the opportunity they're going to get in the offseason. Clearly, they didn't get a chance to do that before the trade deadline. Say whatever you want about Mark Williams, but the Lakers, for some reason, did not feel comfortable enough to say, let this deal come through. Okay, now it's your offseason to figure it out. But I still enjoy watching LeBron play. I do. I don't think there's a lot of – I don't know how many people enjoy that, or I don't know how many people share that opinion with me. Because I also think there's a lot of people that say, all right, that's enough. I've seen this. I mean, is this man still in the league? Is he still making all these decisions? Is he still the focal point? Is he this, that, all this other stuff? I'm probably maybe on the minority in this one where I say I still enjoy watching LeBron play basketball. And I think the fact that we get a chance this offseason to see them try to figure out what they're going to do and how they're going to build around, obviously, Luka and LeBron, that portion is exciting to me. Let me find a quote here, because there was something else that I was looking at a little bit earlier. This was there's actually a couple things. I know one thing. I know one thing that I took away from some of those exit interviews, if this makes a little bit sense. Some of those exit interviews that, we ended up listening to Rob Pelinka and to JJ Redick. Pelinka was very, very clear of he's going to try to do everything he can to obviously accommodate LeBron and accommodate the Lakers. But specifically, he said that he wants to build obviously a championship roster around LeBron. Okay, we'll see. I know he's going to say one thing, but I think at the end of the day, we all kind of understand that the focal point is still going to be LeBron. Okay, let me read some of these comments here, and then we can keep going. 2 years in a row losing in the first round is embarrassing. Can I add a caveat here to it is embarrassing? I don't disagree with you. I agree that it is embarrassing that the Lakers 2 years in a row, if you look at last year against Denver and this year against the Minnesota Timberwolves, that means in the last 2 years, they're 2-8 in the playoffs. 2-8. 2-8 in the playoffs. That's their last 2 years. They're 2-8 in the playoffs. I don't disagree that that's not embarrassing. I don't disagree with that. But could I just say this? I don't think we could apply the two together. I think that you have to, on one side, you got to understand that was LeBron and AD, and you felt like, okay, I think this kind of reached its maximum. I don't think it's going any further. And then I also think on the other side, you have to understand, all right, this year, whatever it is that the Lakers had, whatever, this playoff round look like, it's going to look different coming this summer. All right, let me look at a couple more here. I want to look at some more of these comments here. I want to get people's opinion on the topic. Let's see what we got here. Bron takes up a third of our cap. Impossible to win with him. I'm going to bring on, when the show's over today, I'm going to reach out to Eric Pincus. I got to get Pincus on the show, and he could talk about it. I want you guys to understand something. The cap is not how you think it is. So let's just say, hey, if the Lakers don't re-sign LeBron, and I'm just going to make up a round number, and I know it's around this number, about $50 million. Let's just say that take $50 million off the Lakers roster. It doesn't mean you have $50 million to go spend somewhere else. So just so you guys understand that, it's not dollar for dollar. Now, and that doesn't mean you can't be making a case saying that if he takes up this much of the cap, then we're going to have issues, we're going to have trouble. I'm not saying that you can't make that argument, even though I think LeBron was still incredible in his 22nd season in the NBA, and I still think he's worth, the money that the Lakers are giving him. This isn't, a farewell tour. That's not kind of what they're doing here with LeBron. But if I just stick to that for a quick second, you got to understand that once LeBron, if you take the money away that LeBron is making, it doesn't mean now, hey, that money is now gone. Let's go sign Clint Capella and I'm just making up names, right? And a couple role players and blah, blah, blah. That's not how it works. So something to keep in mind there. LeBron's doing his job that Laker fans want. He's making the team relevant. Well, I'm going to disagree a little bit with this one. I'll tell you why. I think LeBron made the team relevant, but he did that 7 years ago. So they've been relevant now for 7 years, and they're now going to be relevant moving forward as long as Luka decides, I want to be a Los Angeles Laker. I think the relevancy is back. I don't think you got to worry about the relevancy portion of this. I think the Lakers are back to being relevant. Now, there's levels to your relevancy. If the Lakers didn't have Luka and, LeBron wasn't there as well and everything else, okay, maybe they're not as relevant, but they're always going to be relevant because they're the Lakers. But I think now with Luka, they're going to be relevant for a long time. You got to go from relevant to winning. And that's going to be the next phase for the Lakers. Okay, hey, you're relevant. Yes. Your games are always on national television. Yes, the brand is popular and it's powerful and all that stuff. You winning or not? Because I think there's going to come a point, and I think this summer, you guys are going to hear me talk about this a lot. I'm really excited about this summer. I really am. Genuinely excited about this summer. I want to know what the Lakers are able to do, and I do think they have options to really improve the roster. And they now have this kind of they have a little bit of momentum. I know you lose in the first round of the playoffs by 5 games. How much momentum do you have? But at least the front office got something to work with. I don't think it's going to be the same old script. I think it's clear as day what the Lakers need. Okay, you need size. You need some defenders. You need some consistency. You need some depth. That part, I think, is all clear. Relevant is one thing, but I think you're going to have to eventually come to a point where it's like, all right, it's not just about relevancy. It's going to be about winning again. The Golden State Warriors are back in the playoffs, and here they are. They made a move for Jimmy Butler, and they beat the number 2 seed in the Houston Rockets, and they could very well be in the Western Conference Finals again. It's funny, and I'll get into the Warriors here in just a second. The Warriors, in a weird way, remind me of what the Lakers used to be. Always in the mix. Always. I mean, you think of the Kobe era. The Kobe era was a long era, obviously 20 years, but Kobe went to 7 NBA finals. I think Steph Curry's been to 6 NBA finals, and he's got 4 championships. If I'm right, if that math is right, but I think it is. They lost to Cleveland. They lost to Toronto. He's been to 6 NBA finals, and you got a couple different chapters. You have the chapter before Durant, chapter with Durant, chapter after Durant, and here he is now again competing, and there's all these different kind of players that you're weaving in, and the Golden State Warriors continue to find a way. That's kind of what the Lakers used to be. The Lakers used to be this franchise. If you just kind of take that era, it's like, all right, Kobe comes, takes a couple of years with him and Shaq to finally get over the hump. They start winning a couple of championships. They're great. Shaq is gone. Then it's dormant for a couple of years. Then they trade for Powell, and here they go again. And then eventually, obviously, as you get towards the end, they weren't even playing for championships anymore. That chapter was over. The Lakers have if you look at LeBron's era with the Lakers, I saw this, which is kind of crazy. Here's the Lakers in the LeBron era. Not as many ups and downs. I mean, really, a couple ups, and then the rest have been downs. Missed the playoffs in 2019. Got a championship in 2020. Eliminated in the first round in 2021. Missed the playoffs in 2022. Got to the Western Conference Finals, get swept in 2023. Eliminating the first round, 2024 and 2025. I mean, really, that Western Conference playoff run that the Lakers got to the Western Conference, end up getting swept by the Denver Nuggets. That's kind of the outlier of this whole thing. I mean, imagine if they didn't get to the Western Conference Finals in 2023. You would have had 5 straight years of either out in the first round or not making the playoffs. I mean, a lot of downs in this time. And by the way, I'm not blaming it on LeBron or anything along those lines, but that's just kind of the reality of where the Lakers have been. All right, let's get a couple more in here. Matthew, if LeBron can't lower his salary, it means our team isn't good enough. Reality is he's 40 and we need other pieces to acquire and rely on. Matthew, thank you for the super brother. I appreciate you. I appreciate you very much. Thank you for joining the show. I saw some articles, and Trevor Lane, Lakers Nation, they do a phenomenal job. One of the things that I think makes Lakers Nation and Trevor really, really good at what they do. When something comes out, they're so instant of getting your reaction right away. So instant. Friday, I saw a couple articles, and it said LeBron probably is not going to take a pay cut, right? And then everybody started giving their opinion in. And I was reading some stuff from Trevor, and Trevor had said something like, why would this guy be responsible for taking a pay cut? And he started, giving some examples and things along those lines. Shout out to Trev and what they're doing over there. But I bring this up because is LeBron responsible? Do you guys think LeBron is responsible for giving the Lakers a discount? Should LeBron be walking into this offseason saying, listen, if he did it, it's very admirable. If LeBron said, you know what, guys, instead of making $54 million this upcoming year, I want to restructure my contract and I want to make $20 million a year for the next 2 years. Let me cut the 54 in half. Say that he wants to make $27 million a year for the next 2 years. And he just really wants to help the Lakers get more talent and this and everything else. If he did it, cool. Very admirable, if I can say that. Would respect it. Awesome. Is he supposed to be doing that? Is that his responsibility? Is that his responsibility to go look at the front office and just say, hey, guys, you know what? Let me actually cut you a check. Is that his responsibility? When I see it happen, I like it, because if somebody's doing something for your team and they're just saying, hey, I'll take less money because I want to be here. And I'm sure there's examples of this. You could look in baseball, maybe players that sign certain contracts and say, I want it to be with that team, so I took a little bit less to make it happen. Maybe baseball is not the best example because baseball doesn't have a salary cap, where the NBA does have a salary cap. But is that LeBron's responsibility to come back to the Lakers and say, hey, I know I'm probably worth $100 million a year. I know I'm probably worth that, but we have a salary cap. But is it his responsibility to take less money? You know what I mean? If I'm LeBron and I'm in his position, I have no problem if LeBron says, guys, I got to take the max. That's just what I have to do. And I know people are going to say, oh, well, you know what? He makes this much money, this, whatever the case is. I get all that. But I think there is something about your value is your value. I've said this about Austin Reeves. Austin Reeves had a very, very favorable contract. He currently has it, $13 to $15 million a year. That's what he's making. His ass better go get $30 million a year when he gets that opportunity. That's what he's worth. That's what he's worth. That's what he should get. Here's one. Maybe Luka takes less. I mean, let me give you an example of Luka. By the way, if you want to make the argument, there's a part of me that thinks, okay, well, Luka's going to be a part of the Lakers for how long? Luka technically, supposedly, has got a lot more to prove than LeBron does. What's LeBron got left to prove in his career? He's got nothing left. There's nothing left for LeBron to prove. The only thing LeBron is going to do moving forward is add to his resume or not. I mean, that's it. It's either icing on the cake or nothing. He doesn't have to do anything else, and then he'll still be considered one of the greatest to ever play the game, and that's it. And that conversation's done. And then maybe somebody's going to say, well, I think Kareem was better. I think Jordan was better. I would have rather had Magic, this. Okay, everyone can make that argument. There's nothing left for him. The Luka piece is the one piece where I will tell you this about Luka. What is Luka? He's got so much more to prove the rest of his career than LeBron does. Luka right now, in February got traded to the Lakers, a team where it's all about winning championships. The Dallas Mavericks, who absolutely loved him and everything else, that front office thought, you know what? That guy is not a player that we can win an NBA championship with. He's got, a ton more to prove than anybody else. All right, so everybody's got their thoughts, opinions. Let me see this, couple more. Maybe Luka takes less. Maybe DFS takes less. If you want Bron to take a pay cut, you should demand it. To others, they also want to win. Yeah, I just, I could tell you guys this, and I'm not telling you that I'm, how do I put this? I think the NBA is, for the most part, it's very highly encouraged you get the value of what you're worth. And I think that's what's going to happen to some of these NBA players. So I think don't be surprised if that's what you end up seeing from some of these players here. All right, the LeBron convo. The LeBron conversation. He's not here for the Lakers' best interest. I don't know if you're talking about LeBron or if you're talking about Luka. Why would Luka take less? He got spurned by a franchise whose fans adored him. Lakers don't have the relationship with him yet. Tim Duncan and Tom Brady took much less to win. Yes, it's LeBron's right, but he can't have it both ways. Well, there was a time, if you guys remember, for a long period of time, LeBron wasn't the highest paid player on his team. Remember when he went to Miami? Him, Bosh, and Wade each took $16 million each. So it's not like he's never done it before. He's definitely done it before. Luka not taking less. Mavs already took enough for him. Yeah, for those who don't know, the Mavs situation was because he got traded, he's now not eligible for a Supermax. I think the way his contract can work, he can get a 3-year deal worth something, and then when he gets to 10 years in the NBA, then be eligible for that extra year that he didn't get, which would be 400 and something, 400 and change, something along those lines. So I'm just telling you guys that I just don't think there's a couple things that I don't think are going to happen this offseason. And it's okay for you guys to have your own opinion on it and what you think should happen. But here's what I don't think is going to happen. A, I don't think LeBron is going to retire. B, I don't think LeBron's going to play for a different team. And C, I don't think LeBron James is going to take less money. So I think that's something to just keep in your mind because I don't think that's going to happen. And the way I kind of started this topic of, do I think, am I exhausted of LeBron and the LeBron story? Look, there are times definitely that I'm like, Jesus, another LeBron topic, another LeBron story, a LeBron this, LeBron that. But for me, once they traded for Luka, that was much less exhausting because I felt like it was new storylines. And it was a lot of storylines that I didn't have in the past. And there are a lot of them are kind of fresh, and this offseason is going to be fresh, and it's not just LeBron and Anthony Davis and, you're hoping and praying how far they can get. So that's one of kind of my takeaways of still getting a chance to enjoy LeBron. I did see this. I don't know if you guys saw this. An MRI on Thursday, so this was last week, revealed that Lakers star LeBron James suffered a grade 2 MCL sprain in his left knee in the fourth quarter of Game 5. There were some stories out there that basically were saying that even if the Lakers won Game 5, LeBron would not be available for the rest of the series. So, we all know what the Lakers did. They did not win Game 5. We know that the Minnesota Timberwolves shot, was it a playoff worst, like in playoff history, how bad? They shot under 15% from three and they still won the game. Well, that just shows you, really just what a mismatch this series was. So something to keep in mind there. The one last thing I want to throw out there. This is the one of the kind of LeBron topics out there that I want to throw out there. One of the quotes LeBron had, and, I think people ask what the responsibility is for LeBron with the Lakers. LeBron, after the Lakers were eliminated, was asked the question about if he's going to try to convince Luka to stay with the Lakers. Let's actually look at this quote together. We could look at it together and sing Kumbaya. Everybody here can sing Kumbaya together. Present this. Share screen. Get on here. All right, let's take a look at this quote together, okay? No, that ain't my job. This is LeBron on whether he's going to try to convince Luka to stay with the Lakers. I know. Luka knows how I feel about him, and ultimately that trade happened for the future. That's not for me. Luka has to decide what he has to do with his future. He's 26 years old. I'm 40, so he can't be basing his career off of me. That's just real. But I hope, obviously, he stays long-term. Laker fans effing love him. LA has accepted him. We love him as a teammate, as a brother, but ultimately he's got to make a decision for him. Okay. So I got no issue with anything kind of LeBron describing from his own perspective of, obviously how much of a role that he's going to have in trying to bring or trying to have Luka stay with the Lakers long term. There were some videos out, what was it, on Friday, that showed Rob Pelinka, JJ Redick, and Luka leaving a restaurant together. I got a very difficult time thinking Luka's not going to be a Laker long term. And, I think a lot of that has to just do with the Lakers will literally do whatever the hell he wants. And ultimately, I think what the Lakers are going to try to build around him is a championship roster and a championship team. And I think they're going to just try to sell him on the fact that, listen, you could be a legend in LA. And you could be one of the players of our cornerstones of the franchise. This franchise is known for having different eras of championship basketball. Look back and literally you can look back on any era. And anybody that's won an NBA championship becomes really a legend. And this is something that I've said in the past. Usually these guys don't win just one championship. The LeBron and Anthony Davis championship is one of the more unique championships because it was just one. And it was just one finals appearance. That's actually not very normal in Lakers history. Maybe you want to go back and say, hey, Wilt and Jerry West only got one. But yeah, Jerry West was in the NBA finals almost every year. I mean, lost a couple game sevens. I think he lost a game 7 to the Knicks, a game 7 to the Boston Celtics. Look what he did as an executive. Jerry West is not a good example because Jerry West is one of the ultimate legends in Laker history. But I think for Luka, and they're kind of convincing him to be here, it's like winning a championship with the Lakers is different than just winning a championship somewhere else. Don't get me wrong. If you won a championship in Dallas, he's obviously a legend forever. Dirk Nowitzki winning a championship with the Dallas Mavericks is more meaningful because they're not winning championships every 10 years. They want to. Giannis winning a championship in Milwaukee, they hadn't been done in 50 years, so there's still incredible value. But for the Lakers, you just got so many of these legends that are here. Now, whether it's LeBron's responsibility to try to convince Luka to stay here or not, I think LeBron said it best. I'm 40. He's 26. I'm going to be long gone, and he's going to be walking into his prime. That's going to more be on the backs of, obviously the Lakers front office and everybody else there. All right. We're going to look at a few more of your comments, and I appreciate you guys chiming in. Love the chat here. Oh, the chat is active. Very, very active. Shout out to Brad Wallace and the Wallace firm. Listen, I'm sure anybody that's listening to this and's been listening to my show here over the last few months, you guys are probably very, very well aware of Brad Wallace and the Wallace firm now. And I remember when I first started doing these reads, I've always said that I hope you guys don't need an injury attorney. This is kind of a unique partnership that we have, but things happen in life. And if you or a family member is in a position where you do need an injury attorney, I can firsthand tell you, I got a connection with somebody who's the best in the business. He can help anybody in the state of California. I can make a personal introduction to Brad Wallace if that's helpful and that's needed, or if it's, obviously something that can help you or a family member out. I've been giving an example here because I love giving the example. He was working with a client, and this all just kind of went down in the last month or so, against Home Depot. It's about 5 years they were working against Home Depot. And he did everything he possibly can to make a case for his client. Brad Wallace, about a month ago, was down at the Van Nuys Courthouse in LA County. The jury delivered a $4.6 million verdict on behalf of the Wallace firm's client and found Home Depot responsible for nearly $3 million of that amount, which was significantly more than Home Depot's highest pretrial offer on that case. I love giving real examples of how Brad Wallace has helped out his clients. And if you're ever in a tough predicament or situation, I know he can help you. WallaceWins.com/Sliwa, WallaceWins.com/Sliwa, or you can click on the link in my description. It has the link that goes right there. Get a free consultation. He can help anybody in the state of California. And like I mentioned, if you need a personal introduction, I'm happy to do so as well. All right, let's keep things rolling here. All right. I am going to jump here. There are a couple NBA things I want to get to, and then we'll keep going here. Laker fans are just ungrateful. Not ungrateful, wildly spoiled. Wildly spoiled. They don't understand. Maybe they understand better now over the last 10 years, because I think, if you really think about it, since Dr. Jerry Buss passed, the franchise is not, it's not the same franchise. Is that safe to say? It's just not. And by the way, it's impossible to ever be the same franchise again. Dr. Jerry Buss is arguably the greatest owner in the history of sports. He went to basically his franchise since he took over in 1979 to the day that he passed. They were in almost 50% of the NBA finals. Just absurd. But if you really think about this, go back to about 2013 to where we are today. They got one championship. And they got a lot of downs before they got ups. So I think there's a little bit of a reality check for Laker fans. I think people kind of understand that the franchise is not ran the same way that it used to be. I think there's a lot of that, right? I think that's safe to say. Okay. Let me jump around to the NBA real quick, and then I'll come back to some of these comments that are here. I start a few of them, so we could come back to some of them and keep the show rolling. You guys watching some Game 7s over the weekend? Saturday had a Game 7. Sunday had a Game 7. Let me start with Sunday's game since it's a little bit more fresh. It was yesterday. Warriors advanced. They beat the Rockets. I like going back and giving you guys my predictions, okay? I picked Rockets in 7. So when Warriors were up 3-1, Rockets lost when Jimmy Butler wasn't in a game. They lost a close Game 4, just kind of some careless mistakes. I'm like, well, that was an awful pick. Rockets come back. They win Game 5 and Game 6. Give them credit. Game 7 in Houston yesterday, and Houston or Golden State just kind of, they had a comfortable lead. Really at the end, by the time the first quarter was over, Buddy Hield hit a 3 at the end of the first quarter. They had a comfortable lead the rest of the way. There was always up 6, 8, 10, whatever the case is, and you kind of just knew. I think Houston got it to within 3. It was 63-60. Listening in my car, driving around, running a couple errands, everything else. Listening in my car, they got it to 63-60. And then I think it was 68-60, and then it was 72-60. Then you just kind of knew Golden State's going to win this game. Veterans beat up on the youth. Houston had a phenomenal season, number 2 seed, but there was always a hesitation with Houston because of their youth. And they got a lot of they definitely got a lot of a learning experience, but the Golden State Warriors behind, by the way, Buddy Hield was basically Klay Thompson for them. 33 points and hit 9 3-pointers. He went 9 of 11 from the 3-point line. I was reading something this morning that talked about the Golden State Warriors had Draymond. I think Draymond, I don't know if he set this up, but Draymond, Steph, and Jimmy Butler basically before Game 7 held a players-only meeting and basically said, we're winning Game 7. Here's how we're going to do it, and they made it happen. So with that in mind, the Golden State Warriors advance. They move on. That was a point I was making a little bit earlier. The Warriors kind of, their last 10, 12 years, or how many ever years they've been competing now, they remind me of the old Lakers where they got kind of their foundation. They got to make a couple of changes. They got a head coach that's been there for a number of years. They find ways with different players, but still kind of a similar foundation with Steph and Draymond. Obviously, Klay was there for a number of years to still compete, to still win, to find ways to kind of weave new players in, weave players out. The Warriors have been the class of the NBA over the last 12, 13 years. Maybe longer than that, but you guys obviously know what I'm talking about. They've had some downs as well. It's not like they haven't, but here they are kind of finding a way to work their way back into the mix. All right, Clippers, Game 7. Clippers against the Denver Nuggets on Saturday. I still can't really apply and ask you guys, or I can't really tell you why. Why did I really want the Clippers to lose? Why? Does somebody want to answer that question for me? Because I still don't fully understand why I really, really wanted them to lose, but I did. Denver's beat the Lakers the last 2 years in the playoffs, ran through the Lakers. I mean, Lakers won 1 game in 2 playoff rounds, and everybody keeps up, yeah, the games were close. The Lakers lost 8 of 9 to Denver, and I still have people telling me that those games were, they were right there. They lost 8 of 9. They got swept in 1, and they got a gentleman's sweep in the other one. Please stop telling me that the series were close. Denver dominates the Lakers for 2 years. The Clippers have 0 history against the Lakers, literally have never played each other in the playoffs, yet I'm still rooting for the Clippers. What is going on there? I can't even figure out my own emotions of why that's the case, but it's still there. Clippers lose 3 years in a row. They're out in the first round. I don't care what people want to say as far as, their matchup and wow, what a great series. And you know what? They just ran into the Denver Nuggets, and that was the case. You could tell me whatever you want. You could say, I was listening to the, on the road, listening to NBA Sirius XM. And the game ended. And once the game ended, automatically it picked up the post-game show for the playoffs, picked up the Clippers post-game show. And I'm listening to the post-game show. And, one of the guys that does a Clippers post-game show, I used to run into him all the time. I give them good dude. Anyway, so they're handling their business. And I heard them saying things that this is nothing against them, by the way. I think this is just kind of the reality. I heard them saying things like, you know what? There's a lot to take away from this season. A lot of people didn't expect the Clippers to have a good year. Ivica Zubac had a breakout year. Norman Powell was really good for them this year. James Harden had a little bit of a resurgence. Kawhi Leonard was healthy. And that the team they accomplished a lot this year. And in my head, again, I'm not trying to go anything at the people that had those sentiments, because they're not wrong. But just think about how wild the expectations are for both of these teams. Lakers are out in the first round, and all hell is about to break loose. Clippers are out in the first round, and honestly, there's a lot of compliments to what they were able to accomplish, and they won more games than they thought they were going to win. It's just the expectations are different. And it's not that they're wrong about the Clippers. They're actually right about the Clippers. I didn't expect the Clippers to have this successful of a season. Maybe it was just a bad matchup against Denver. I mean, hell, they went 7 games. We know when Denver's at their best what that team could look like. Lakers know that firsthand, because go look at the last 2 playoff rounds against them. But Clippers are out again in the first round. Like at the end of the day, Clippers are out again in the first round. What is their future? James Harden had another Game 7 performance that was complete. However you want me to describe it, you know how I'm going to describe it. He was shit again. Now, I know he had 13 assists or something along those lines, but he was 2 for 8 from the field. Supposed to be one of your... And by the way, James Harden has a history of doing this in the postseason. A history of this. I don't know where the Clippers go from here. I do think Ty Lue's a good coach. I do think they have a depth and good role players and everything else. But what's going to change next year for the Clippers? I know their expectations are always wildly different than the Lakers. But that's 3 years in a row they're out in the first round, and it's kind of just interesting to see. Yeah, James Harden in the playoffs. I was reading some article this morning. He went 2 from the field. He had 13 assists, but 2 of 8 from the field. Harden scored 7 points. Damn. How is Harden not firing away? 2 for 8 from the field. How is James Harden not shooting 20 shots and saying, if I'm going to go out, I'm going to make sure I'm going out because just my shot wasn't there? You had Kawhi that was healthy. You had a lot of things that went their way this year, and they're still out in the first round. So, and I know the noise is never going to be as loud as it is for the Lakers, but that's just something to keep in mind. As a diehard Laker fan, please take LeBron off my team. His losing mentality is so contagious. It's not going anywhere. Would Zubac come back to the Lakers after what happened with Magic? I think he likes being with the Clippers. That dude, by the way, is a really good basketball player. Not a great basketball player. I'm not telling you, he's going to be an all-star next year or something along those lines, but every time the Lakers play the Golden or the Los Angeles Clippers, that's the first thing that comes up. It's like, remember Zubac when he got traded for Mike Muscala? Kawhi going to ask for a trade. There was an article that came out. There's an article that came out that I thought was kind of funny, but a little bit of truth to it. Remember when Kawhi was picking between the Lakers and the Clippers? Could you imagine? Could you imagine Kawhi Leonard? By the way, I had when that was going on and you thought, oh my God, I think Kawhi is going to be a Los Angeles Laker. And it was going to be Anthony Davis, LeBron James, and Kawhi Leonard. I was like, freaking wear my San Diego State jersey to Laker games. I'm like, this is the greatest thing ever. I always kind of look back at that. And I'm like, what would have been if Kawhi Leonard decided, I'm going to join the Lakers? We know what happened. Obviously, when they made the trade, they traded all those picks, and they eventually got Paul George to come be a part of the mix as well. Remember that first year, we thought it was going to be Lakers and the Clippers against each other in Orlando. It was all set up. It was supposed to happen. And Denver down 3-1 wins 3 games in a row. One of the biggest collapses in NBA playoff history were the Clippers losing to the Denver Nuggets, not getting to the Western Conference Finals and playing the Lakers. They were up double digits in each one of those final elimination games for the Denver Nuggets. They were up double digits in each one of those games and lost all 3 of them. What would have been if Kawhi Leonard would have decided to join the Los Angeles Lakers? And by the way, what would that have meant for LeBron's career? I mean, listen, maybe I'm wrong here. is that squad not winning a minimum of 2 NBA championships? A minimum of 2 NBA championships? I mean, what the hell would the rest of the league had to have done in order to try to figure out how to stop those 3 players? All right, let me keep going here. Let me keep looking at everybody's comments here. Let's see what we got here. Why does Ty Lue get a pass for not being able to get over the hump? Spo at least was able to get to the finals twice without LeBron. I think a lot of people know Ty Lue's a really, really good coach. And by the way, I agree with that. I think Ty Lue's a phenomenal coach. But I think you're right about maybe they've had, I don't know if more excuses is the right way to put it. Yeah, I don't know. I actually don't have an answer for you. I think when you're not, Frank Vogel won a championship and got fired, right? Got fired. Frank Vogel won a championship with the Lakers, and then all the blame was thrown on him of a trade he had nothing to do with when the Russell Westbrook trade was made. I know Ty Lue's a good coach. I absolutely know Ty Lue's a good coach. But you're right. There is a little bit of like, yeah, a lot of other people. I think it's because of the franchise that you're with. Honestly, I think that's what it has to do with. I think it's because of the franchise that you're with. Kawhi didn't want to be the scapegoat. Kawhi would have joined if Braun wasn't there. Might be right there. I don't know. I mean, actually, I have no idea. Kawhi didn't want to play for the Lakers. He held up well this year. I mean, I said this. I don't really care who you root for or anything. For me, last thing I want to see is, especially a great player like Kawhi, I don't want to see this dude injured all the time. I thought he held up pretty well this year. Vogel wasn't good in Phoenix. Yeah, but go look at the Phoenix Suns. That's bad ownership. That's roster construction. Frank Vogel's a good coach. I'm a fan of Frank Vogel, and but you know, again, what are the expectations? That's what it comes down to. I think the Lue won a chip. You're right, but I think what the point that they were trying to make was, yeah, he won an NBA championship, but he doesn't have the same level of scrutiny that comes with some of the other coaches out there. All right, let's keep going here. I got a couple supers here that I want to get to. I haven't got a chance to get to. Anthony, excited for some off-season sleep content. Thank you, brother. We're gonna make it happen. You know, the one thing I will tell you guys that not reacting to games does allow for more long form conversations. So I think there's, you know, some benefits in that. Of course, there's going to be a lot of rumors that come out. We're going to be obviously all over the NBA playoffs and everything else, but yeah, I'm looking forward to it as well. We'll start getting some guests on that are relevant to some of the conversations, and we'll keep going from there. All right, Anthony, thanks, by the way, for being a member for the last couple of months. Slee, Lakers will be in trouble if Luka leaves. The James experiment was mediocre at best. Past time to move on. The LeBron James experiment. That's a good conversation in itself as well. There's some wild highs and some wild lows in this process. I agree if Luka leaves, I actually think that would be devastating. If Luka decided to just play out this next year coming up and then decided, you know what, I got traded to the Lakers. This wasn't my choice. Hey, it's a cool franchise. It's a cool city, all that other stuff, but I don't want to play for the Lakers. I like this opportunity in Miami. Or you know what? I want to go play in, I'm again making up stuff. I want to go play in Houston, making up stuff, right? If Luka decided to leave the Lakers under his own terms, I agree that would be devastating. That would be really, really bad. It'd be a bad look for everybody. Do I think that's going to happen? I don't. If you said, Al, you're a betting man, where are you going to put your money? I'm going to put my money on the Lakers re-signing Luka Doncic, him getting paid boatloads of money, and the Lakers doing everything they can to try to build a championship roster around him. That'd be my prediction. Drew V. It is my firmly held belief that you have weak takes. Thank you. No, thank you, Drew. I appreciate you. Thank you. Thank you for the super as well. Thank you. Thank you. You keep those coming all day long. I appreciate that. Very, very much. Thank you. John Wayne. It's not normal for the Lakers to lose in the first round with home court advantage. Actually never happened until LeBron managed to do it. Oh, listen, I'm going to be I'm going to be, very, very kind of blunt on this. Awful season by losing in the first round as a number 3 seed, and you had home court advantage. There's no way to sugarcoat any of this. And if people want to look, but Minnesota this, Minnesota that, I don't care. I don't care. I think the fact that the Lakers found a way to lose in the first round, no question about it. It was an awful season. It really was. I mean, you set yourself expectations, and then you weren't able to meet those expectations. That's how I look at it. That's 1,000% how I look at it. Let me see what else we got here. Somebody put in here, see if I could find it. I was looking for it a couple of minutes ago. I miss when Jerry Buss and Jerry West was around the organization. Yeah, you might not get a better 1-2 punch in the history of sports. I mean, you might not get a better 1-2 punch in the history of sports. And I genuinely mean that. All right, let's get another one in here. Anthony gifting out a membership. Thank you, Anthony. I appreciate you, brother. HH, thank you, brother. I appreciate that very much. Very, very kind of you. John Wayne, Clippers is to Slee as LeBron is to John. You might be right there. But I can't explain mine, and I don't think you might not even be able to explain yours either. Maybe there is a comp there. Thank you, John. I appreciate it. Thank you to all the supers. I appreciate all that. Very, very kind of you guys. Okay, I got my second round predictions. Second round predictions. I want to give my predictions here real quick. So listen, let me, if I could throw a couple of these in here real quick, just to let everybody know. I picked Lakers in 6. I was wrong. I picked Rockets in 7. I was wrong. I picked Nuggets in 7. So I kind of nailed that one. I don't really know if I did any of the other predictions, but I'm going to do predictions for each round here real quick. At least in the second round, I'm going to do some of those predictions. Let me do that real quick. All right. And you guys can tell me what you guys think as well. Nuggets at the Thunder. Denver Nuggets at the Thunder, or Nuggets Thunder. This is a little bit of a tricky series. It's a little bit tricky because I don't mind the matchup for Denver. I still think Oklahoma's got a ton to prove, to be honest with you. But I'm going to go Thunder. I just don't know if I'm going Thunder in 6 or Thunder in 7. Is Denver tired? They got to churn around. They're already going to OKC. They got no chance to kind of enjoy that, obviously their series win. 6 or 7. What am I doing it in? I'm going to go Thunder in 7. I'm going to give Denver a lot of credit. And let's see what happens. I'm going to give Denver a lot of credit. So I'm going to go Thunder in 7. By the way, that series, we'll get into that in just a second, but that's starting tonight. I'm gonna go Thunder in 7. All right. Okay. Let me get the next round. Warriors at Timberwolves. Damn it, freaking Minnesota. It's supposed to be Lakers Warriors in the second round. I underestimated the Minnesota Timberwolves in the first round. I think I'm going to underestimate them again. and I'm going to go Warriors. I just think they're too smart. I think Warriors are just high basketball IQ, plenty of guys that they could depend on, will make the proper adjustments I don't think the Lakers were making. I'm going to go Warriors in 6 or 7. Man, I'm disrespecting Minnesota again. I'll go Warriors in 6 or 7. I'll go Warriors in 7. 7. That series goes long. Cavs, Pacers, I already had my – I don't care that Pacers won yesterday. I already had Cavs in 6, so I'm going to just stick with Cavs in 6. I already had that in my mind yesterday. So even though Pacers went on the road and grabbed game 1, I got to stay with what my pick was. So I'm going to go Cavs in 6. And then Knicks at Celtics, or Knicks and Celtics. I think the Celtics just demolish the New York Knicks. Knicks, go watch those two teams in the regular season. I mean, listen, I'd love to see the Knicks win that series. Granted, I wanted to see Detroit beat the Knicks. I just don't think it's going to happen if Boston's healthy. I don't even think I have much respect in this series. I'll go Celtics in 6, even though I easily think that could be a 5-game series. I just don't see them winning. Okay, let me see a couple of people here. Thunder in 5, light work. Okay. All right. Let's see what we got here. I think Denver wins. Denver takes home court. Thunder doesn't have the experience. Nuggets. Okay, so look, there's some people going the Nuggets way. What did I say? I said Thunder in. I think I said Thunder in 7. I got Warriors in 7. I got Cavs in 6, and I got Boston in 6. And frankly, I don't even like the Boston in 6 pick. I think it should be in 5. F the Wolves and his allowed just win, and you could say whatever you want to say. Warriors in 5. Wolves in 5. Okay. All right, got some predictions here. Wolves in 6. Warriors, Wolves, a difficult one to pick. I think a lot depends on how well Randall plays. I agree with that. But you're going to have the matchup isn't a bad matchup. Like I actually, the OKC, the Thunder versus Denver, I kind of like the matchups there. Obviously, I would have preferred Lakers and Warriors, or Houston and the Minnesota Timberwolves, but that's not happening. All right, so we got a couple here. Cavs in 6. I did not know that. Let's see what happens in the second round here, because I think the matchups are going to get better. Knicks, Pacers, Wolves, and Denver. Knicks are not beating Boston. I'm sorry, buddy. Ant-Man is the legend killer. KD, Braun, Luka, by the way, Devin Booker. Who else did he take out? Now he's trying to take Steph out. Do you give JJ an F for the absolute sham coaching he didn't play? JJ was awful in the playoffs. Awful. That guy, the way he acted as well, his insecurity kind of showed, immaturity showed. He was awful in the playoffs. I mean, that's just, if we're being honest with each other, he really was. He was really, really bad in the playoffs. All right, let's get to one more thing here, and then we'll call it a day. I want to do just a quick recap of the weekend. Shout out to Brad Wallace and the Wallace firm. wallacewins.com/Sliwa. wallacewins.com/Sliwa. They're always sponsoring our weekend recap. So a couple just quick things here from a weekend recap. We kind of already got into the Clippers and the Nuggets. We got into the Rockets and the Warriors. Something to keep in mind for today, if you're a big sports fan, we got 2 solid games coming up tonight. Knicks, Celtics at 4:00. Nuggets, Thunder at 6:30. So we got 2 games finally in the second round, 2 game ones of the second round. Obviously, Indiana and Cleveland were the only round that already started their second round matchup. So you got those games, obviously going on. So something to keep in mind. The only thing really else, from a recap perspective that I'm just going to get into here real quick. Baseball, and I'm not going to get into each one of these games, but the NL West kind of continuing to kind of set the trend here. If you go look right now in the National League, 3 of the top 4 teams in the entire NL is the NL West. Dodgers still best record in the NL. They're 23-11. The Padres, who were struggling like no tomorrow, a lot of it had to do with they just had a lot of injuries. They all of a sudden have won 5 games in a row, and they start a series against the Yankees in New York tonight. And the San Francisco Giants, 22-13. 3 of the top 4 teams in the National League are all in the NL West. I don't know how long this is going to hold up for. I think everybody just expects the Dodgers to be the Dodgers. I think the Diamondbacks, I thought they'd be the second best team in the NL West this year. We'll see what eventually happens, but certainly there are a few teams right now that are playing phenomenal. And, obviously the Mets, that's the one team that kind of got into the mix of those 4 teams in the NL West. They're the one team, same exact record as the Giants. So you could say the top 3 records in the National League are all coming from the NL West. All right, let's see what we got here. Let's see. Size is going to bother the Dubs. Denver is fresh and may take game 1. How about Denver? They go out of their way to go make, obviously the coaching change and whatever you made of, I thought it was crazy that they fired Michael Malone when they did. Here they are. They're in the second round. Got the Clippers in 7 games. So give Adelman credit. He obviously is doing a little bit something there. And I guess if they already knew that this was going to be happening, then it is what it is. All right, let's see what we got here. A couple more, and then we're gonna call it a day. Giving out some shout outs to our people. JJ trash, Luka, AR all trash. Not a good playoff round for the Lakers. I think that part was clear. Not a good playoff round. Good day. As always, Lakers will be better. Do the San Diego Rays ever miss their Clippers because they can have them back? Stay up. It's kind of funny. There really is no history between San Diego and the Clippers. They were only there for a few years. I know for me, I was too young, and I grew up towards the end of Magic's era, and I just got locked into Magic, and that was it. But I don't think there really isn't history there. You want history, you're talking about the Chargers. The Chargers is the one that is the devastating one. Devastating to the city of San Diego. It's that. There really isn't much history between, the two from San Diego to the Clippers. It's not like they have a 30-year, it's not the Seattle Supersonics. They were just there for a brief stint. I appreciate the 10 spot, brother. Thank you very much. By the way, all the members that are here that are hanging out, people that are still, obviously throwing in all the supers, I appreciate it very much. Very, very nice of you guys to do that. And thank you very much for the super. And by the way, whether you got criticism or praise, it doesn't matter. I appreciate you guys all being here, difference of an opinion and all that other good stuff. All good. Okay, I think we're done for today. I appreciate you guys being a part of the show. Get ready tomorrow. Tomorrow we'll have some more topics, obviously, to get into. I got to track down a couple of people that I want to get on guests for the week. Obviously, heavy NBA playoffs, heavy Laker conversation for the offseason. We'll continue to do it. So thank you for being a part of the show today. Really enjoyed you guys hanging out, and I will see everybody tomorrow. Let's see. What else now? Yeah, that's it. That's it for today. That's all we got for today. Hope you guys enjoy the NBA playoffs, and we'll get back with you guys tomorrow. Thank you, everybody. Have a great rest of your day.